Oh, we're fortunate. I have to say though that we are fortunate that we have access to this type of literature. That's another thing. We're fortunate that we have this. We're fortunate that there are journalists who are fearless enough to write stuff like this. You need to know more. You need to read longer format news. You need to read up on the deeper research before you can form some sort of an opinion, I feel like. Hi everyone, this is Paul Loves to Read, and as you know in this channel, it's all about spreading the love and joy for literature. And today I'm going to share with you a non-fiction book. It is called On All Fronts, The Education of a Journalist by Clarissa Ward, published in 2020, but with a new edition in 2021 edition. She added a chapter about Alexei Navalny expose on the poisoning. So maybe what I can share is who is Clarissa Ward. So Clarissa Ward is a international correspondent for CNN. She is the chief international correspondent for CNN, but she worked with different networks like Fox, CBS, and so on. She is an award-winning journalist, multiple award-winning journalist. And in this book, she talks about her journalistic life for 15 years, I think, yung span niya. And most, if not almost all, of her stories here is about going into conflict areas and reporting on them. The book is good. The book is an eye-opener. The book gives you a different side of the story that you think you know because you've seen it in the news. So it has that deeper layer because it now comes from direct from the source. It now comes from the people who were actually there, and it is told in a format that is a longer format, right? It's a book format. Clarissa is now not limited to a 2 minutes, 3 minutes news bit, right? So, syempre, the ones that we see in CNN, the ones that we see in the news, they really have to very, very brief and concise and direct to the point. It's really just telling the news. What you miss out on those news is that there is a lot of other stories behind it, primarily the emotion, the humanity side of it. So in the book format, that's what she covers, that's what she shares. Her own personal perspective, her own personal journey and hardships, the friends she made along the way within the conflict areas, and the friends that she lost because of the conflict. Whatever it is in this book, definitely worth reading. She covers a lot of the Syrian war. I think maybe that's one of her longest assignments. And one of the assignments that is very close to her heart. Personally, she's made friends there and she's met family. So siguro iba rin yung, it must be different. So she covers that a lot. And like I said, it's worth reading because this is world affairs that is happening now, still happening. Some of it's still happening. These are events that shape our history, that shape and influence our economic and political climate, whether you admit it or not, whether you know it or not, it does. A war in another country, you feel like it doesn't affect you, it does. A war in a country you've never heard of or you've never seen, you think it doesn't affect you, it does. So it is very, very relevant. And that's why you should read this, if only to learn, right? If only to know a little bit more about these things and try to empathize siguro and have another angle or another perspective, expand your perspectives before forming an opinion, or maybe suspending your opinion because you want to read more about it, you want to learn more about it. Because really, honestly, the news is good because it keeps us updated about what's happening. But it's not enough. It's not enough anymore. You need to know more. You need to read longer format news. You need to read up on the deeper research before you can form some sort of an opinion, I feel like. Oh, we're fortunate. I have to say, though, that we are fortunate that we have access to this type of literature. That's another thing. We're fortunate that we have this. We're fortunate that there are journalists who are fearless enough to write stuff like this, because she mentioned a few very famous names in there, and she didn't like all of them. So, diba? We're fortunate we have these. This is a serious book. If you are not, if you're not a typical nonfiction reader, and there is a lot, it's a big range. Nonfiction is a big range, right? This would fall more under the memoir autobiography type. So I feel like if you enjoy that nonfiction genre, you will like this. You'll appreciate this. You will understand it, and you will definitely learn something out of it. It's not the self-improvement nonfiction side, but that being said, I think there's a lot of introspection and reflection that you will be able to do when you read this. It depends also where you're reading it. And I mean where. When I say where, as in, where are you? Literally, who are you? Right? Because she writes about war areas, conflict areas. If you are in a situation of close to that type of environment, your reaction would probably be different from mine. But it doesn't mean it's not good, right? So baka mas deeper, it depends on where you are right now. So yeah. So I feel like it's I don't know if it's a must read. I feel like it's close to that, if only to understand, kasi most, if not all, the events that she covered here are very recent. They're very recent. And the most recent one is the Alexei Navalny poisoning, which you will also see in HBO. There's a docu there. So she added that part in the 2021 edition. So that recent, right? So yeah. So I would recommend it if you're in that type of reader. Definitely you will not regret this one. So thank you.